What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to TTP Sports, and I don't know what to say right now. I am so mind-boggled of the news that I just heard. Just insanely mind-boggled. I'm confused. I just don't know because with the Phillies right now, just you get John Middleton during the offseason after the season ended crying that he is poor, that they lost so much money, $2 billion, even though it was proven to be around the 145 million dollar range, and basically talking about how they're not going to be spending money this offseason. They probably wouldn't be able to sign JT Realmuto, and they're probably going to be cutting budgets as well. But now there's reports as we're in winter meetings right now with Major League Baseball. I think the Rule 5 draft even ended as well. But there are reports that they're in talks, in major deep talks, in hiring former Red Sox, former Detroit Tigers, and former Marlins president slash GM of baseball operations, Dave Dombrowski. And this is where I'm stumped. You're crying poor. You're crying that you won't be able to spend money. You have to cut budgets. And you get all these trade rumors with Zach Wheeler. You get all of these trade rumors going on right here. But then you go out, and you're most likely going... This is not confirmed, by the way. They're just talks right now. It was reported first by Jason Stark of The Athletic that they're in deep talks, and they're very close to getting Dave Dombrowski to be signing of a deal to be the next president of baseball operations for the Phillies. So, it's where I'm stumped right now. So, like I said, you're an organization right now. Your owner is basically crying poor that you lost so much money. But then you're going out to try and hire a guy that is notoriously known for spending money. Even though Dave Dombrowski, he has a track record of winning. He does. He's won 2 World Series. He's won one with the Marlins, even though that World Series was in 1997. He did win a World Series recently with the Boston Red Sox, even though after that World Series he got canned so many months after. I'm not sure if that was a dispute with the front office, with the ownership right there, but there was a reason right there why he got fired, because the Red Sox, they were in so much hell with the luxury tax. They missed out on re-signing Mookie Betts. They had to trade him over to the Los Angeles Dodgers, who then that team just re-signed, and they won a World Series this year. So Boston's still kind of hurting from that, even though they got some good guys. They got Alex Verdugo in that trade, but still, they're really feeling the hurt from that, I guess, era of winning the World Series in 2018. So, like I said, you go out and hire a guy that's notoriously known for spending money, but you're crying that you're poor, and you're crying that you won't be able to spend any money this offseason. What is the thought process right there? What direction do you want this team to go in? Are you still in that spend now to win now mode? Are you in that build for the future mode, build from within, even though your prospect system, your farm system is absolutely trash? Even though there's interesting names piled on in your prospect system, the entire thing as a whole is just completely garbage. They don't know how to develop any kind of talent. They can't scout talent. And the only times a good prospect actually comes up in this organization is when they're too good to hurt in development. You saw that with Alec Bowman this year. Spencer Howard, he was a top pitching prospect. Didn't really impress anyone right there. And I don't want to give up on the kid because it's way too early, but he gave nothing to give me any hope for that he's going to be really good, like everyone was expecting him to be really good. Because if you look around Major League Baseball, even throughout this season, this shortened season, there were a lot of young pitchers that came up for teams, and they dominated. And I mean dominated. And then you get Spencer Howard that can just continue to struggle throughout the season. Was getting torched, struggled with command, struggled with location. He just struggled with everything, and then he got injured at the end of the season. So, and then you also got a guy that's notoriously known in Dave Dombrowski to completely destroy your farm system by making trades and stuff like that. And I think that's the same thing that happened with the Boston Red Sox. Their farm system, after that World Series run, their farm system is probably not one of the best things in Major League Baseball right now. They got some good pieces back for Mookie Betts, but right now the Boston Red Sox, they're probably one of the more bottom feeders in the AL East, with more of the top teams being the Yankees, the Rays, the Blue Jays are an up-and-coming team. And I wouldn't say Baltimore's better than them, but Baltimore, they might be an up-and-coming team because they're building the prospect system from within, but that's a whole nother situation for Major League Baseball right there, a whole nother story. But there was a reason that he got fired, but also he does have a track record for winning. That's why I am so stumped right here. I am so stumped because you're crying poor. You hire a guy that's known for spending money, a lot of it, in fact, and sometimes he gets teams over the luxury tax for spending so much money. It's just, I'm just so stumped in the direction that they're going. So stumped. Is it better than what they have right now? Absolutely. Dave Dombrowski is 10 times better than what they had in Matt Klentak and what they had in Andy McPhail. But John Middleton's still the head guy. And I feel like John Middleton is trying to sprinkle in his little bits of thoughts right there and trying to get his moves made. So that's where I don't trust it right there. Is John Middleton trying to go out and get a guy to where John Middleton doesn't have to make any decisions and he can trust the guy to go out there and do it? Maybe that's why he's going out and getting a Dave Dombrowski, a guy that does have a track record throughout baseball for winning. He won with the Marlins. He went over to the Detroit Tigers. He made them a very successful team. Even though they didn't win a World Series, they went to the playoffs for a lot of stretches of years from the mid-2000s and then going over to the early 2010s. There was a lot of success scrambled into that Detroit Tigers era with Dombrowski. And then he came over to the Boston Red Sox and turned them into a juggernaut in 2018 and won a World Series right there. So that's where I'm stumped, because when you hire a guy like Dombrowski, he is going to go and spend money. He is going to try to make every single move possible to make your team built into a World Series contender. And that's where you can get some excitement drawn in there, but then that's also where you can maybe be a little bit scared, because what the hell is he going to do with the team right here? Is he going to trade pieces that we might not be a fan of? Is he going to be trading for, try to bring in a top free agent or something like that? Is he going to be trading some of the interesting pieces that we have in our prospect system for once? So, like, I don't know. Is he going to force one of the young guys that's in the prospect system to come up? Is he going to force a guy like a Bryson Stott to come up way too early? Is he going to force a guy like a Mick Appel to come up way too early, even though they literally just drafted the kid? And I don't see that kid making the Major League Baseball probably for a few years or something like that, because he's a project type of pick. But right now, if you're looking at the prospect system, there's really nothing. And maybe that's a little bit the sliver of hope that you have right there, that there's really no one in the prospect system that he can trade away. Even though if he does trade people in the prospect system to try to go out and get top guys, you definitely can kiss guys like a Bryson Stott and Mick Appel goodbye. Because if you're going out to get top guys, they're gonna want your top prospects in your system. So honestly, thank God Alec Boehm's in the major leagues right now, because if Alec Boehm was in the minor leagues, he probably would have been traded if Dave Dombrowski was here. I'm just so stumped right now. I am very, very stumped. Because there was also reports, and I'm reading the Athletic article by Jason Stark right here. When he was fired by Boston, he went to take a year off. He went to Nashville. There was also reports that he was trying to get a Major League Baseball team in Nashville too, trying to push that to Robert Manfred and the owners. And there was all these reports saying that the Phillies were trying to go after him after they lost out on Theo Epstein, after they lost out on the Twins executive right there. They also tried to go after one of the Dodgers executives, and they lost out on those negotiations. Teams just basically hung up the phone right there. They don't want to come to Philadelphia. And they also tried to go after Dave Dombrowski early too in the offseason after they canned Matt Klentak. And the results were that he didn't want to go anywhere. He wanted to stay in Nashville. But then over the past few days, talks have been heating up, and they've been getting closer and closer to making Dombrowski the president of baseball operations for the Phillies. So if I'm looking at this as a whole, it's completely better than what they have right now. But it also still makes me scared, because I have no idea what the direction they want to go into. But clearly from this move, I can kind of guess what kind of direction they want to go into, which is to spend money now, try to win now, try to build a team that can compete with the rest of the NL East. Because if you look at every other team in the NL East, the Braves are probably the best team in the NL East. The Mets, they just signed it, they got a new owner, and they're planning on spending money to get some top dogs into their team. And honestly, if you look at the Mets, they've had good teams. Ownership for them was terrible. Now they have a good owner. Now they have good leadership. Maybe that team will come around and be good. So you got to watch out for the Mets right now. The Marlins, they surprised everyone. They're an up-and-coming team. They're a very young team. They're exciting to watch. They're one of the teams to look out for. The Nationals, they had, even though they weren't that good during the shortened season, they still have guys like Juan Soto. They have guys that sat out during the 20 shortened season. If those guys come back, Strasburg sat out. If some of those guys come back, and maybe if the Nationals sign a free agent out there, got to watch out for the Nationals. And then there's the Phillies, who basically are a borderline 500 baseball team, below 500 baseball team that haven't had a winning season since 2011, the last time they made the playoffs, and they're on a 9-year in a row playoff drought. And fans in this city are basically already giving up on the team, because when we signed Bryce Harper, we were promised that things were going to be different. We were promised that we were going to be a better team. We were going to make the playoffs. We're building a contender to win a World Series. And then it just felt like everything fell apart. Yes, COVID definitely had a play in this factor with the shortened season. But Matt Klentak, Andy McPhail, John Middleton, the three stooges of the front office during this short era in this time span with the Phillies, have not done anything to help this team. No way in hell have they done anything to help this team succeed. Maybe now if you lose Matt Klentak, you lost Gabe Kapler, now you have Joe Girardi in the mix as your manager. You have Dave Dombrowski, maybe two guys that are known for having major success in this league. Maybe it does help the team out. But in the long term, it's shown that with the Boston Red Sox. In the long term, they don't look like they're going to be a successful team right now, because they went hellbound on building a team in 2018. They went out and signed J.D. Martinez to that big contract. They went out, they got Chris Sale, they got David Price on that team. And they eventually did turn it into a World Series. They got Craig Kimbrell. But in the long term, they were over the luxury tax. They lost so much money. Well, they couldn't spend any money at that point. They lost Mookie Betts. They couldn't re-sign him, and he goes to the Dodgers, and he gets re-signed by them. So, in the long-term process, is this something that's going to hurt the Phillies long-term? Maybe. Because this is a guy that's known for spending money. A guy that is known for getting teams over the luxury tax. Even though he is known for success, he is probably one of the more successful baseball ops in the major leagues. He's probably one of the more successful guys. He's made the playoffs consistently. Won 2 World Series. But at what cost right now? Because John Middleton really hasn't given a clear sight of what direction he wants to go into. But with this signing right here, honestly, the more that I think about it, he's probably going to try and go to that win now mode, that spend now mode, even though he basically stated that he's not in a spend now mode because they lost so much money. And who knows, maybe I'm wrong, maybe Dave Dombrowski does something completely different. But this guy has been the same his entire lifetime in Major League Baseball. He's a guy that's known for going out and spending money. He's a guy that's known for building contending teams through free agency, through trades. He makes every single move based off of winning a World Series. So, does that mean whatever prospects we have that are actually interesting, are those guys considered gone if he tries to make any trades for this team? We just never know. Are guys that were quote-unquote on the trading block for the Phillies, are they considered safe now? Or are those guys technically still in play? Is a guy like Zach Wheeler still in play? I know there was also rumors that teams were questioning about Aaron Nola and Rhys Hoskins. Honestly, if it came to a point, I would trade Rhys Hoskins. I would. It's just that coming off of last season, he did get a little bit hot going into the end, but then he ended up getting that elbow surgery. So how do you trust him recovering from that going into this season? So even though that definitely does hurt his trade value, it does. Getting injured, getting that surgery, teams might not have the same value that he once was before that injury. So it's just a huge question mark right now, even though he is not technically hired. They're in deep talks, they're getting very close, and he most likely will be the next president of the Phillies baseball organization. And it's just, I guess you can also just consider Andy McPhail gone, since he said, oh, if they hire someone better and better suited for the job, I will step down. Basically meaning Andy McPhail wants to get out of this hellhole any chance he can get. But this probably will mean Andy McPhail is going to step down if they do get Dave Dombrowski into this organization. But right now, and you got the big baseball reporters reporting on this that they're in deep talks. Even though right now it is not fully confirmed that they hired him, it's most likely going to happen. So I want to hear what you're thinking, because right now I am more on the very stump side, to where I don't know what to think, to where I don't somewhat like it, I somewhat like it, but I can understand it at the same time. It's definitely 100 times better than what they had now. It's definitely 100 times better. But it's still, it leaves a bad taste in my mouth. It does. He's known for winning, but he's also known for putting teams in a terrible turmoil when it comes to spending money. He is. So I'm in the stage where I'm like, I don't know what I think about it, but I also don't like it at the same time. It's weird. It's very weird at this point. But they're still in heavy talks. They still gotta wait till this is actually confirmed, which I do expect it to happen. But I guess we just gotta wait and see, because who knows? It could happen in the next few hours. It can happen in the next few minutes. It can happen in the next few days or weeks, even so. Just never know what's going to happen, but I do expect it to happen at some point. So, I want to hear your thoughts on this. Do you think Dave Dombrowski is going to be a good hire for the Philadelphia Phillies? Do you think it's better than what they have now? Do you not like the potential signing? Do you not like what he could possibly bring to the team? So I want to hear your thoughts on this. So don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section. Don't forget to drop a like. Don't forget to check out the Painted Lounge, which I am a part of. Their links will be in the description below. Don't forget to check out the Flyer Podcast merch website. That link will also be in the description as well. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and I will see you next time.